All right, we're closing out this week with Mark chapter 12. And today's devotional thought is so close, but yet so far away. In Mark chapter 12, it's during Holy Week, and Jesus is engaging a religious leader. And Jesus is asked a question, and really the question is an attempt to trap Jesus. They want him to respond in a way that they can say, he's not who he says he is. And so they basically begin to push Jesus on what is the greatest commandment. Of course, Jesus is going to respond and give them that answer to love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and love your neighbor as yourself. And the amazing part here is the religious leader is going to look back and say, listen, I've kept the law. I've done all this. Sounds very familiar, doesn't it? And Jesus is now going to engage that. And so I want us to see three truths that I think are important, because you and I live in a culture often here in the South of cultural Christianity. And so we often see individuals who can be much like this religious leader. And so as a result, we need to see how there are people who say they are relationship with Jesus, but maybe far away from him, that there are people we engage that are so close, but yet so far away. And so here are three truths, I believe, that help us recognize this issue. And the first is this leader knew all the right language. He knew how to say the right things. He knew of the word. He knew stories. He knew the proper thing to say in the presence of Jesus. And he had the proper language. Today we would say he was speaking Christianese, because he would have known his words like sanctification, justification, and he would have used them well. So he had the right language. He said all the right things. Yet it tells us then that he even had all the needed information. He knew what was right. He had known the Old Testament. He knew the law of the Lord. He knew the expectation. But he also knew of the prophecy, and he was just struggling to put it all together. He had all the information, but he had nothing in his heart that transformed him. He had all the head knowledge, but no heart change in his life. And so we need to recognize that just like this leader, we know people that say the right thing and have all the needed information, yet they do not know Jesus personally. And so what Jesus declares here about this man is that he was so close, but yet so far away. He had all the information he needed, but he could not take the step of faith. He could not fully comprehend what Jesus was telling him about him being the Messiah, about him being the Savior. Because you can have all the right knowledge, you can say all the right words, you can have the appearance of faithfulness, but without a personal relationship with Jesus, it does not matter. So here's the question. Do you have the needed information? Do you know all the right things to do? But more importantly, do you know Jesus personally? Or are you trapped in the reality that you are so close, but so far away? We'll see you next week as we strive to finish up the book of Mark and dive in to the book of Luke.